Hi friends, this is probably my first devlog, and I'm just doing a little piece of information that I think might be useful to other Godot devs. It's not super complicated, that's why I think it's good for a video, short video. So I had a problem in my game in this particular environment, and it was with rugs. The rugs were needing to be a variable size, so I needed them to fit whatever size hallway I needed, and I needed them to do that on the fly, not through separate textures. Now in 2D this would be very straightforward because you would just use a 9 patch, and that 9 patch would just tile the textures appropriately because it works really well for a rug because it's got edges that can tile and then a center which can just be infinitely scalable in all directions. So the way I did that is I essentially just wrapped the already existing framework they have in 2D. So I took a 9-patch rectangle. This is actually a panel container, but for all intents and purposes it's the same thing. Configured it so that it tiles correctly for my texture. This will depend on what you put in there. And then I just wrapped that into a viewport, and then I used a mesh to draw the viewport. So this is a very common thing to get a 2D texture or a 2D environment in a 3D environment, is to use a sub viewport. And I just took that sub viewport right here and drew it as a texture for my really complicated don't look at all this shader that I'll explain probably in another video. So yeah, you're taking a mesh, you're drawing it in 3D on basically a 2D plane. This is a quad, I believe. Yeah, it's a quad mesh, so it's a 2D plane. And then I want to be able to resize it on the fly. Obviously, this is a scene we're looking at, right? So when you put a scene in the game, let's see if I can pull it up. So if you put a scene in the game, like this scene here, the mind patch, you can't really normally access everything below it. And just to clean things up, you probably don't want to if you're just doing one particular thing. So the way that I decided to make it so we can always resize the rug, even if it's a packed scene, it's its own thing, is to make the root a CSG so that we have the little handles to grab and drag things. So basically that's all the CSG is doing. This root is allowing us to resize everything inside of it. And the scripts here that you see, they're all tool scripts, so they're running in the editor, and they're just converting the pixel size of this 9 patch, which is drawn, its size is drawn in pixels, and converting it into meters. So I found that 100 works really well. I'm not sure if that's just a universal thing, if that'll work for everything, but it worked really well for me. Yeah, so that's all these 3 scripts are doing. So it's adjusting the viewport size to the mesh times 100, because viewports are in pixels as well. And taking the 9 patch, doing the exact same thing. And then the mesh is taking, essentially taking the size of this guy and matching itself to that size. That's all it's really doing. And that's it. And then you have a adjustable 9 patch that you could obviously use this for anything. You could make it just a straight up tileable texture that you can tile. Let's say you want like a window texture and you want to be able to make different sized windows. You could do that. You could use it as a wallpaper so that you have like a design on the top and the bottom. There's so many applications for this that would work really well in 3D, and it's great for detailing. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to share with everybody. And yeah, thanks for watching.